Hey, what's up? MKBHD here. So, as you may have seen, Barack Obama's been on a pretty massive book tour for his new book, A Promised Land. It's been a pretty great read so far for me, but then YouTube reached out and they're like, hey, do you want to ask Obama anything about what he talks about in this book? And so, of course, I said yes, that would be awesome, but that's a big moment for me. Like, what do I ask the president if I could ask him anything? So anyway, what I have for you are the two questions that I chose, and this is actually part of a larger YouTube Originals project called BookTube, where he answers a bunch of questions from a bunch of other creators about that book and what he wants to talk about, including a really good one from Mark Rober about NASA and the origins of the White House Science Fair, which I thought were really interesting. So I'll link that below for you to check it out. But this is a sort of extended cut of a little chat, and I wanted to share. Enjoy. Mr. President, my name is Marques Brownlee. I run a YouTube channel called MKBHD, so that's MKB, which is my initials, plus HD, that's high definition. And that's where I get to be a huge nerd, basically. I talk all kinds of tech products, review tech, try to make high quality videos, and we like to have fun with it. You know, these days tech is in everything. It feels like it's a part of the fabric of the culture we live in. So on my channel, it's everything from smartphones to 5G to computers to electric cars, basically anything with an on button, all the way to interviews with people with unique perspectives on tech. It's a lot of fun. I'm 26 years old. I've been doing this for about 10 years now, over 10 years, so a long time in my own life. And I also happen to be a professional ultimate frisbee player. So shout out to the New York Empire. We had an undefeated season last year in 2019. And I'm also an avid golfer and a pretty big NBA basketball fan. So I gotta say, I'm pretty excited to be able to talk about your book, A Promised Land, which is your third book and first in a two-part presidential memoir. So I started my YouTube channel in 2009, so a year after your inauguration, which I was at, by the way. I wish I had some pictures or something from that, but I didn't have a camera then, believe it or not. But I do remember it was very cold. The timing of this isn't lost on me. I feel like I owe a lot of my position now to the rise of technology and its accessibility. And I feel like maybe to an extent, you can say a lot of the same. Like a lot of people have called you the first social media president, but more than that, it's just, you know, you look at the administration before you, they hadn't quite used it, hadn't quite cracked it. Then you came along and all of your teams using social media, embracing technology, embracing this new stuff. So can you speak to that level of embracing technology and how it affects our politics and activating new audiences and speaking to new people? You know, obviously we can see it has its ups and downs, but I feel like a unique challenge of yours was finding a balance there that we hadn't really seen before you.
Thanks, Marques. Unbelievable hops on that clip of you in Ultimate Frisbee. You're right. Technology had a big impact on my campaign, first of all. The reason we were really early adapters of a lot of technology as a tool for reaching out to voters was because I had a bunch of folks in their 20s working for me, young people who would come to me and say, listen, we have this thing called MySpace and Meetup. What it turned out was that those early iterations of social media became a really powerful way for us to build a volunteer base and a movement. It made me hugely optimistic about the possibilities of technology as a force for democratization. During the presidency, what we learned was that that same technology could be used for ill or for good. You know, hatred could be communicated as well as love and compassion. That's something that I think we still struggle with, and I write about in A Promised Land. How do we harness this technology for good and try to mitigate some of the problems that it creates?
So a lot of the worlds that I run in haven't been incredibly diverse, right? I mentioned golf earlier, ultimate frisbee, technology. And what I can say is at a youth level, and I think at a lot of the beginner levels, these spaces are more diverse than ever, which is awesome. But you'll notice at a high level, ultimate frisbee, not very diverse. At a high level, golf, not very diverse. And at a high level, technology, still not a very diverse place. And I feel like that makes the spotlight just a little bit hotter as a black man moving through these spaces, moving through these worlds. I talked about this a little bit in a video actually I made on my channel in the past year. So from your book, and just from observing, it's clear that you've felt that spotlight over time as well. I mean, not just as the first black president, of course, but I mean, just look at politics as a whole, right? So that got me super curious. Just how did that make you feel? How did that affect you mentally? Do you feel like it pushed you to do better? Do you feel like it made the way you present things a little bit different? You're extra careful in the way you articulate certain things. Yeah, just what's been your feeling about achievement in less diverse spaces?
You're absolutely right. I write about the fact that there were occasions where I would have to deal with expectations or stereotypes or attitudes that perhaps if I had been white, I would not have had to deal with. Not just me, but a lot of the African Americans or Hispanics, Asian Americans, or in some cases women, were the first in their positions in my administration. All of them had to navigate spaces where traditionally there hadn't been a lot of folks who looked like them in those situations. And it is a extra burden, but my attitude always was that it was also a privilege to be in these environments where you can actually help these spaces where you're one of the firsts, and that requires you speaking out and having the confidence that you can propose solutions that make the whole team or organization work better.